Hello, good morning everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So good morning. My name is Shenja Ruthenberg. I'm here today on behalf of my colleague Patrick Clarence, who is the CEO of the EASE, the European Association for Storage of Energy, and I'm today presenting this vision and governance structure of the ETIP hydropower with my colleague Andrej Misech from EUREC. So the first part of the presentation, I will give you an introduction of where you as hydropower sector stakeholders indeed are very much needed now. And Andrej will then present you the how can you participate. I would rather skip this slide because Mark has brilliantly already talked about our mission and objectives, and yeah, that we aim to have a network from academia, research centers of the hydropower sector in this ETIP to really have a good representation of the sector. To put forward the research and innovation priorities, but of course also to make ourselves heard within the set plan. So I will move already directly on to the next slide with the coordination of setting up this ETIP structure. So what is at stake at the moment? Where do we need your help, your inputs? And then my colleague Andrej will talk more about how this will be done, and also a little bit about how this will be coordinated with other ETIPs, because ETIP hydropower is not the only, it's only one among many ETIPs. For the governance structure, we came up with this suggestion. We want to keep it as simple as possible to make it really efficient. So we have a General Assembly, a Governing Board, a Secretariat that will support everything, a Scientific Advisory Board, and working groups where we need expert input. And the General Assembly will be the base for this strategic decision making. So it will be open to all the stakeholders of the hydropower sector, the industry, etc. It steers and gives gives the general direction to the ETIP. It has also some decision-making power to approve, for example, the members of the governing board, and it will be once a year we will meet online with all participants to discuss. Then the governing board, it has 25 seats representing also the sector. It's a strategic body to really steer the mission, the vision. It elects the members of the working groups. It keeps the ETIP, helps to shape the direction of the ETIP, so to speak. Therefore also expert input is needed. Then we have the Scientific Advisory Board. Here we have the ERA Joint Program Hydropower, the International Energy Association, and the Hydropower Europe SEP. It's a consultation platform of 600 members, as already mentioned. So this is also to help us to put the right focus and also have some more perspective taken into consideration. The working groups will be very important, so any member of the General Assembly will be able to suggest a topic for a working group and help to create and shape it. My colleague Lee Estrelado from VGBE Energy will tell you in the next presentation more in detail how this will work. Just maybe briefly, these working groups, they will identify the key topics and messages that we want to really put on the EU stage and push with the policymakers and with the EU institutions to give visibility. It will work on white papers, further R&I topics, etc. So to very briefly mention it. Then we will be by your side as the Secretariat. All the consortium members are helping to steer and get this process working. Then now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Andrej, who will tell you more about how this will be now implemented. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shenja. So very quickly on the next steps, once we have drafted the terms of reference, we would like to use once again the forum that was established in the previous project, so the Hydropower Europe Forum, and we will in the next weeks and months set up a survey which will be shared with the stakeholders registered in this Hydropower Europe Forum, and they will be surveyed on several options for different points in these terms of references, just in order to come to a democratic way to the final terms of reference for the platform's rules for the stakeholders. Then the next step after that will be organizing elections to populate the ETIPs executive bodies. If we can go one slide back, still, Shenja. Yeah, thank you very much. So to populate the executive bodies and leadership bodies in this structure that was just presented. Also, working groups will be set up, and already in the survey that will be shared with Hydropower Europe Forum, the stakeholders will be able to suggest topics for different working groups and already flag their interest to lead or participate in any of these working groups that will be set up. Of course, throughout the project, throughout the existence of the platform, compliance with terms of references will be ensured by continuous monitoring, and we will pay attention to stick to the rules that will be set out in terms of reference. Next slide, please. Seems we went out of the presentation. Is it possible to come back to full screen and the slides?
Engineer, can you run the backup version?
Yeah, seems there are technical issues. January, if you can make me a presenter, I can run the presentation.
Yes, okay.
I'm sorry, my GoToWebinar was hanging, but it should work now. Can you see my screen?
No,
okay.
Back.
Yeah, now, okay.
Thank you very much.
Sorry,
so,
sorry for this.
Next task then is interacting with the set plan. If you are not familiar, set plan is structure set up by the European Commission in order to boost the transition towards climate neutral energy system through the development of low carbon technologies. This set plan identifies 10 actions for research and innovation, addressing the whole innovation chain from research to market uptake, and tackling both financing and regulatory framework. What we want to do once we have terms of references and all these structure behind with the governing body and the executive bodies, We will announce the creation of ETIP Hydropower to the set plan steering group, which is the leading body of the set plan, and we will offer a meeting to present sector strategic aims as outlined in our strategic industry roadmap and research and innovation agenda. Then the set plan steering group will be invited to create an implementation working group for hydropower. We will already at that stage outline possible implementation plan, because every implementation working group has a implementation plan with specific targets that this group is trying to achieve. So we will already outline a possible implementation plan containing a selection of strategic actions as a starting point for the creation of this implementation working group for hydropower. Next slide. And as Shenja mentioned, we want to cooperate with other ETIPs or European technology and innovation platforms, because there's many in this field of renewable energy technology. So we plan public webinars and workshops, focus on variety of topics relevant for hydropower sector. So here I list well, preliminarily not an exhaustive list of potential topics that we will focus on in the upcoming months and years. So just quickly going through the list, we have hybridization, hydropower plants and battery coupling, PV floating on hydropower reservoirs, the link between hydropower and hydrogen through hydrolysis, also non-technological topics such as jobs and skills, boosting public acceptance, providing recommendations on national energy and climate plans, and responding to the European Commission's action plan for the digitalization of the energy system. So this is really a list that we identified several months ago, and these are some topics that we would like to organize collaborative events on, but there might be different topics. We are of course open to also for you, participants of today's webinar, and other stakeholders to suggest topics that they would like us to see work on and collaborate with other ETIPs on. I think this was the last slide of this presentation. Yes, so we are open for questions.